Hi, guys, and good evening, and welcome to another edition of the fabulous Coming to Your Sofa. I am delighted to have the fabulous Joanne, who you can see on your screens at the moment. Guys, for those that do know, Joanne did come to us and tell us everything about the fabulous AmaWaterways a couple of weeks ago, and we begged her to come back again and talk about a fabulous new product, which is Nile Cruises. But before we do that, a little bit of housekeeping that we do on every show. Click the alarm bell at the top so you get notified of every single time we are live. And then you won't miss any of our fabulous destinations and suppliers. And don't forget to share the show with all your friends. So, Joanne, you're going to talk to us about the River Nile.
I am, yeah. Hi, Martin. Good evening, everyone. Lovely to be back. I'm honoured to be invited back on the sofa for a second time. And as Martin said, tonight I'm going to speak to you about our amazing new product on the Nile. So if you missed our European show, then I know that you can watch that back. But today it's all about Egypt. It's brand new, so I'm just going to talk you through what it's all about, and then we'll be having a chat afterwards, Martin, I guess.
I'm sure we will, and I'll be watching intently, and I'll quiz you on things, no doubt, when you come back.
So I'll get going then. Now I'm about to share my screen. Everyone brace yourself for the technology working.
Last time we did have a few technical issues, but we got there in the end.
We got there in the end.
But guys, the Nile, I mean, I went to Egypt and I did a cruise on the Nile, but it was only for a few hours, but it's beautiful. It was amazing. So this is going to be even better. So I'm going to add this in. Joanne, the floor is all yours. Tell everybody how wonderful the Nile is, and it's all yours.
Thank you, Martin. I was just going to say, I'm a bit of a fraud. I haven't actually sailed on the Nile, but seeing as you have, you might as well present this.
I was only on there for about 3 hours. We had lunch on a ship, which was beautiful and amazing. So, but there you go. The floor is all yours, hon.
Thank you so much. Well, good evening, everyone. Here we go. Hopefully you can see my screen. So I'm going to talk you through our brand new Egypt and the Nile itinerary, which we're so excited about. And actually it is launching. Well, it's on sale now, but our first sailing is scheduled for September this year. Now, of course, we are very, very optimistic that will go ahead. We are aiming for it to go ahead. And so from September this year, our Nile program will launch. And actually what it is, the package itself is 3 nights in Cairo, so a land section at the beginning of the cruise, 7 nights on board AmaDahlia on the Nile cruise, and then 1 night back in Cairo at the end. I'm going to take you through the itinerary now, show you a few highlights and some incredible images of the ship as well. And just to let you know, the departure dates are actually weekly, starting from September this year through to December. And then we sail January to May and September to December. So we actually skip those kind of peak summer months of June, July and August, where it does get unbearably hot in that area. So we're sailing during the season where it's not so hot and the climate is enjoyable. So we're kicking off then in Cairo with 3 nights at the 5-star 4 Seasons Cairo First Residence. It's a bit of a mouthful, that one. Stunning hotel. It actually, if you look it up on TripAdvisor, it's currently the #1 hotel in Cairo according to TripAdvisor. So we do have the best one there. It's on the western bank of the Nile, and it's in the quite prestigious Giza district. So you'll enjoy 3 nights there in a really spacious upper floor superior room, and it's on a bed and breakfast basis as well. So the nice thing about this Cairo pre-cruise section is that you've got your evenings out to dine at leisure. Now, if you don't want to sort of go off and out into exploring Cairo, the hotel itself does have 6 different restaurants for dinner in an evening, so you're spoilt for choice. Or perhaps if you just want have dinner at the hotel one night and then explore into Cairo for something to eat the other couple of nights you can. So we leave that open so it's nice and flexible. So day 1 in Cairo, I mean, it's day 1's kind of arrival day, so you'll arrive, settle in, relax, you'll have some free time, you'll enjoy a welcome reception and drinks at the hotel that evening as well, tapas, meet other guests that are travelling on the same AmaWaterways programme. And then probably just an early night that night, really, as we prepare for a full day of exploration the next day. So we'll be filled with the wonderful sights of Cairo. We're starting off with a full day Cairo tour. We visit the famous Egyptian museum, which is home to King Tutankhamun's full collection of treasures. There's about 120,000 different artifacts and treasures in that museum. So that's a really great way to kick off and learn about all the history of Egypt. We go to the Khan el-Kahili market, so you very much get absorbed straight away into the local culture and way of life in Cairo. And we visit a beautiful restaurant as well. It's quite famous in Cairo. It's called the Naguib Mufaz restaurant. It's in the sort of trendy bazaar area, and we have a lovely included lunch there. And then we finish off in the afternoon with a couple more visits. We've got the Citadel and Alabaster Mosque, and you know, all these sites really offering really fascinating insights into ancient Egyptian history. So the next day in Cairo, we wake up to another day of explorations and sightseeing. And I guess this is undoubtedly one of the highlights of the whole trip. We visit the Great Sphinx and the Giza complex. Now, the Pyramids of Giza and the Great Sphinx together, you probably know, they're considered the sort of last survivor of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. So you can tick those off your bucket list straight away. We've got a beautiful lunch as well at the iconic Meena house, and it's a very historic palatial hotel. It's in the shadows of the pyramids, so it's a really, really special experience there. And actually, just going back just to show off with one of my Egyptian facts as I've been reading up on this area, the Sphinx itself was, I couldn't believe when I found out it's just made out of 1 stone. So it was 1 huge big sandstone that the Egyptians carved into the face that you can see there. So it would just be incredible to go and learn about that and how the Egyptians did that back in those days is just incredible. But anyway, so the next morning we take about an hour's flight down to Luxor. The flight is included down there. Luxor is classed as the capital city of the new kingdom of Upper Egypt, and it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And it's often referred to as one of the world's greatest open-air museums, and that's really because of its astonishing temples. A couple of the temples that we visit during the cruise section are Karnak and Luxor. And these temples are joined together by, it's something like 1.5-2 miles avenue of sphinxes on the east bank of the Nile. And we visit this full area and both these temples as well during the cruise. So we get thrown straight into the temples and the Egyptian history. So anyway, Luxor, and this is, I mean, probably the most exciting bit because it's a brand new ship. But after you've done your 3 nights in Cairo, we welcome you on board AmaDahlia. So your very own floating hotel of luxury on which you'll spend the next 7 nights cruising down the Nile River Valley. My research told me that the Nile is the longest river in the world, just over 4,000 miles long, but there's some controversy over whether it's the Nile or the Amazon, depending on which Google source you go to. But anyway, it's the longest or the second longest river in the world, and actually AmaDahlia has her own private dock in Luxor as well, so we don't sort of embark the masses. It's a really nice private area along the river. So I'm just going to flick through a few photographs. These are artist renderings from the ship itself, which is finished, I believe, and ready to go in September. So just 68 passengers, so a really, really small, beautiful, intimate ship. 10 different style of, 10 standard staterooms, and then 24 balcony suites as well. We've got a warm and welcoming crew ready to greet you, and really what you're probably aware, we also have a Mekong product and a South African river cruise on the Zambezi River as well. We will deliver the same unparalleled service that we're renowned for across the rest of our fleet, including our European fleet as well. So as you can see from the images there, it truly is a stunning ship. We've got complimentary Wi-Fi. There's also 62 staff members, so it's almost 1-for-1 with staff members and guests on board, so you can imagine the service levels that you're going to have on there. And this sun deck area, wow, up on the top deck, lots of lovely sheltered areas. We also have a pool as well, which we do have on all our European ships, so we couldn't not have it on our brand new Nile ship. And this is an example of one of the suites, really stunning, modern, spacious decor as well. So during the cruise itself, you'll enjoy really exceptional regionally inspired cuisine. We cater for all different dietary requirements, just as we would on our European ships. None of that's compromised on our Nile product. We're also serving Western style menus as well for breakfast, lunch and dinner. All the food is included, as well as wine, beer and soft drinks with lunch and dinner. We do actually have a few of the lunches off the ship as well during our excursions, so we've got some really special experiences to be had there. And in terms of nightly entertainment as well, we've got traditional entertainment on board every evening. We've got a traditional belly dance show, that's called the Galibia show, and a Darwish show as well. So lots going on board when we're relaxing in an evening. Now during the actual Nile cruise itself, we do offer a fully inclusive sightseeing and shore excursion program. So lots of scenic cruising as well, because of course that's what river cruising is all about, you know, the immersiveness of sailing through a country and seeing day-to-day life along the riverbanks. And I guess particularly with the Nile, you know, seeing where the ancient Egyptians first settled into what evolved to be one of the most fascinating civilizations, and the feats of engineering and innovations that really changed the course of history along the way. So all of this you will learn about as you sail, but just a few of the highlights you'll encounter, starting with the Valley of the Kings. So this region's one of the most famous archaeological sites in the world. It's home to the tomb of King Tutankhamun, which I'm sure you've all heard of. So his mummified remains are still there on display. You'll also sail through the Valley of the Queens, and here we've got the mummified remains of there's more than 30-40 queens and princesses whose remains are still there. And we'll visit the Temple of Queen Hatshepsut. That's quite a hard one to pronounce. That's one of Egypt's most successful pharaohs, and actually Egypt's first ever female ruler. We also visit the Queen Nefertari. Crikey, some of these names are hard to pronounce. And we actually have exclusive access here. It actually, if you were to just go to Luxor and try and visit this tomb, it's about $250. We're including it in our shore excursion program. And Queen Nefertari is a huge figure that you'll learn a lot about across the Nile cruise. She was one of the first royal wives of a husband who ruled over Egypt for 25 years or so, which was a long, long time back then. And he built this tomb honouring his wife. There's magnificent poetry and original calligraphy on the walls. And you'll also learn more about Queen Nefertari down at Abu Simbel as well, which is something that we do offer. It's an optional trip, and I'll talk to you about that in a second. Couple of other highlights: sailing down into the city of Edfu, best known for one of Egypt's best preserved temples, the Temple of Horus. It's the second largest temple in Egypt, and it's also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So lots of the sites that you're seeing are areas of outstanding beauty, natural preservation. So you're ticking off a lot of UNESCO World Heritage Sites during your Nile cruise. So then continuing on through Aswan, we've got plenty of free time down in Aswan, a really, really pretty village. We have a ride across to the village itself in a local felucca, a traditional sort of Egyptian sailboat, and we go across to the Nubian villages as well. So this particular village of Hessa, you'll meet the really warm and friendly locals. They'll welcome you in the village, and we do a local lunch here as well. And Rudy and Christine, our owners, have already established really great connections with the towns and villages that we're stopping at during our Nile cruise. So I mentioned Abu Simbel before, so we do have an optional excursion to Abu Simbel. If you choose to do this excursion, it's an early morning flight. It's a short flight down to Lake Nasser, which is where Abu Simbel is based. And it's yet another UNESCO World Heritage Site, of course. And it's where King Ramses II, he was one of the most active and long ruling pharaohs. It's where he dedicated this whole site to Queen Nefertari. So her main tomb is the one you'll have seen earlier in the week, and this is the extra temple he dedicated to his wife. And there's all sorts of amazing historic facts that you will learn about as well. It is extra to visit the Abu Simbel site. This is the only excursion we have where it's additional, and it's about £250 to book this excursion. Not everyone wants to do it, not everyone wants to do the flight. It's only about an hour, but we do recommend pre-booking it to guarantee the visit, because of the small numbers that are on the flight and actually the small numbers that are allowed into the Abu Simbel site. You must pre-book it if you're wanting to do that. So actually, whilst we're in Aswan as well, we go to Ombo to visit the Great Temple. It's a really unusual double columned temple. Apparently these are really rare in Egypt. And you've got the dedication to the crocodile god and on one side and the falcon god at the other side. And my Egyptian knowledge isn't good enough to tell you about in depth, but I'm sure you'll find out more when you're there. But by all accounts, this is a really fascinating temple. So we actually finished the cruise back in Luxor, and this is an opportunity to visit the Luxor Temple and the Karnak temples, which I mentioned earlier. But then it's a short flight back to Cairo for one more night back at the Four Seasons, where we started the whole adventure. Now, when you're back in Cairo, it's an opportunity to spend a bit more free time visiting perhaps the Old Town this time round. We also have a private included excursion to the Abdeen Presidential Palace. Now, if you look this up, it's unbelievable. It's one of the most luxurious palaces in the world, and it's one of the official residencies of the current president of Egypt. So now we don't just have a tour of the presidential palace, but in true AmaWaterways style, we enjoy luxury lunch there as well. So that's it's almost like a farewell lunch at the end of the tour, and that's a really special, unique experience. So we bid farewell to Cairo, back to the airport, back home if you're going home. But actually, just to mention as well, I'm not going to go into these into loads of detail, but I'll have a chat with Martin about them afterwards. We do offer some pre and post land programs as well. So after the tour, after the Cairo program, you can go on to do 4 nights in Israel post cruise. Or before it all started, before you even get to Cairo at the beginning, you can do either 3 nights in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, or 4 nights in Jordan. And Jordan is, of course, where we're going to see the famous site of Petra, which is another ancient wonder of the world. So there's loads of opportunities to extend out that core 11-night package of Cairo and the Nile cruise, to add on some other destinations and get those ticked off your bucket list as well. So as I mentioned, it's on sale now for September onwards and the whole of next year as well. Because of the current times, we don't have a physical paper brochure, unfortunately, but we do have a dedicated Egypt brochure that you can download, and I'll send that across to Martin so that he's got that to share with you all. We've got savings of £200 per person on select dates for this year and next year. And I just wanted to mention as well that for anyone, if we've tempted you this evening and you do want to have a inquire or get an Egypt trip booked up, we've got a lovely exclusive saving only for booking through Martin at the Holiday Village as well. And that's an extra £150 per couple. So that is it. Egypt in a whistle-stop tour. We really hope to welcome you on board soon. And Martin, back over to you. Let's see if we've had any questions through.
Joanne, you do your presentations amazingly, and you've inspired me to go to Cairo and Egypt.
Thank you so much. At least I managed to stick to the time slot this time. If anyone was listening to my Europe one a couple of weeks ago, it was a late night.
Oh, but you know what? It's about inspiration, isn't it? Now, I mean, I know I said at the beginning, I mean, I actually went to Egypt and we did the other side. We did Luxor. So we did like the Valley of the Kings and Karnak and the Luxor Temple and places like that. And I was blown away. It was emotional to be in those places and think how far in history and time and what went on and things like that. It blew me away.
Yeah, I bet it's fascinating. I think as well, like the Egyptians were way ahead of their time. You know, they were way above what we are now. Just with the influence that actually the whole world has had on what the Egyptians started all those years ago. It's just incredible. But like I said at the beginning, I am a bit of a fraud because I haven't been. So I've been frantically researching and trying to get that amazing product across as best as possible. But I know we were chatting earlier and you had an amazing time when you were out there, didn't you?
I did. And I mean, for us, we went to Hurghada and it was, I think it was about a 5-hour trip. You were up at 4 o'clock in the morning and escorted with armed guards over to Luxor because you go through the desert and everything. But this is great because you're going to get to see everything, aren't you? You're not going to have that long sort of transfers to try and go anywhere and things. So it's a great way to see Egypt. It really is. But I've got a question. So you're on this amazing, fabulous, wonderful trip, and you know you're learning all about the history and the culture of Egypt. So, I mean, is it like you go off and do your own thing? You said you got some trips, or is there anybody there talking with you, or is there anybody escorting you or anything?
Yeah, absolutely. So all the trips and sightseeing excursions are included. Everything except I think I mentioned that Abu Simbel. Now I actually love the way this works. So for example, if you're on a European river cruise with us, you've got all your shore excursions, but you get off the ship every day and you meet your tour guide there and then. So you've got a tour guide in Budapest, and then you might have a different one in Vienna running that tour, and then perhaps another one in Bucharest doing that tour. What's amazing about this Egyptian itinerary, which makes it really seamless, is your same tour leader is with you throughout the whole thing. And I say tour leader, it's an actual Egyptologist who are our tour guides. Now we have 3 on every departure. So the groups that you're going off on your tours, because there's 68 people on board, the groups are about 20 or so. So 3 sort of groups of 20. And each group has their own designated Egyptologist for the whole thing. And that's starting in Cairo right at the beginning as well. So they'll be with you throughout your Cairo stay, right through the cruise, and right with you until the end when you go back to the airport as well. So you really get to know your Egyptologists. They're there all the time. They're on the ship. They're dining with you in an evening, having drinks after dinner. So you get, a relationship with this guide that you're spending the 10 or 11 nights with. And yeah, if there's a fact about Egypt that you haven't uncovered before you go, then you haven't asked enough questions.
Well, I mean, I know if anybody's wondering about Egyptologists, from what I believe when we were there, they have to study for a number of years, and they're authorized by the government, aren't they, as well? So they're very highly trained and very experienced in the field.
Absolutely, they really are. I mean, there's no better person really to take you through the sites of Egypt. But they explain it in a way that you can understand. It's easy to understand. They'll go over anything you don't understand. It's not just reeling off facts and figures, that you kind of think, well, hang on a minute, where's that come from? What does that mean? It's really relatable, easy to understand information to enhance your trip and make sure you go. It's a very educational trip, I think, this Nile one. It's not just about the scenery and the kind of the nice pots of call. It's a very eye-opening and educational one as well.
Definitely. Now, I mean, I know when we went, we like the excursions we did, you paid for your excursion, but you go to the pyramids, which is one of the sites, unfortunately, we didn't get to go because of an issue where we just couldn't do it. We'd have been dead. We'd have been in the tombs with them because it would have killed us.
It's not a bad place to be buried, Martin.
Oh, it's not. No, it's not. But you go to the pyramids on this tour, which it's a bucket list. It's UNESCO World Heritage Site. Everybody wants to go to the pyramids once in a lifetime. So, do you get to go in the pyramids, and is that included?
Yeah, so actually the tour itself, we spend the morning at the pyramid site, and your Egyptologist is there, and of course we go up and around the pyramids and into the museum and things. But not a lot of people know this, but actual access into the pyramids themselves, it's actually very, very restricted. Not a lot of people actually go inside them, and there's a couple of reasons. One, it's by all accounts can be quite claustrophobic, I've heard. So you've got to be quite sort of brave and, and up for it. It's very narrow corridors. I hear that you potentially have to kind of go sideways down some of them. They're only allowed so many people in one at a time. The officials that run the site at Giza, in typical Egyptian way, they just decide which day they're going to open the pyramid doors and which days they're not. So they're actually not always open. If you really, really want to go inside, you can pay at the pyramids sort of that day, if it's open, if the doors are open, and it's about $25. And it's about half an hour or so in there, I think. But I think from feedback that I've heard, the sort of experience of the pyramids is the kind of being there at the site, immersed in the area, learning about how they were built and everything like that. So you can absolutely go in if it's open. And if you want to have as well, it's that thing, isn't it, saying that you've actually been inside the Pyramids of Giza. Like I'd want to be doing it, but yeah. But it's entirely up to you, that one, and just hope that Egyptian officials have decided to open the doors that particular day.
Well, I mean, for me, after doing some of the sites on the other side in Luxor, as I say, we did them, and the one thing I would say, like you said, they are small. They're not like big tourists. They're built for tourists. It was built years ago, and it is quite. For me, it was quite strenuous because it was going down like quite deep into these caverns and under the ground of where the tombs were. We went to Tutankhamun's tomb, and when you went down, it was so warm in there, and it was also quite steep and lots of stairs and things like that. So for somebody who's considering this, what would you say sort of activities and the level of the fitness you'd have to be and things?
Yeah, I would say that, sort of the cruise experience in general, of course, when you're on board the ship, it's very relaxed, as any river cruise would be. But the shore excursions, although we try and do them in the morning. So we're, back on the ship for lunch out of that midday heat. But they can be your typical sort of temple tour can be about 90 minutes to 2 hours max. And we do sort of, because of the heat as well, it can sometimes get quite warm. We do recommend having a decent-ish level of fitness. And by that, really, it would just be, I think, you'd need to be able to be on your feet for 90 minutes without sort of having a break. You're not necessarily walking for all that time, but you walking around these sites, stopping and listening to your guide. These sites, although they attract a lot of tourists, like you said, Martin, about the pyramids, they're not designed originally for tourists. So there isn't benches and parks where or maybe, a coffee shop just there that you can get something to drink and have a break. So we keep them short and sharp. We keep them in the mornings. And as well, I think the other thing is just taking into consideration the terrain can sometimes be a little bit unsteady, whether it's stairs, like you said, or cobbles in some of these temples. So, that's the only thing we'd say, really. And aside from that, when you're on board the ship, you're going to be chilling out and relaxing. So you can rest your feet later on in the day.
You can. You're up and about. You might as well get a bit of exercise and go and see some wonders of the world. I'm so jealous watching that because I didn't get to do it when I went, and I so want to do it. So next time when we go over, we are definitely doing it. You've reignited the flame that was there before this evening. Thinking about going that sort over to that sort of place. Are there any restrictions for like visas, or do we get any entry requirements or anything like that people need to consider?
Yeah, so you do need a visa to enter Egypt at the moment. It's actually relatively cheap. I was quite surprised when I found out the cost. So you can do it online, or you can do it at the airport in Cairo. But we'd definitely recommend doing it before you go. It's your own responsibility to get it. It only costs around $25. So not much at all. It's not hundreds and hundreds of pounds. You can leave it till the airport, but you're going to be faced with queues, and it's just going to be a stress that you don't need. So just apply before you go, and it's all done online. Really, really simple process.
Well, I'll give people a little hint. We did ours before we went, and it was quite funny because when you got everybody who hadn't done it, was this big long queue. And then they were like, have you done your visa? And we literally just walked straight through to baggage reclaim in seconds. So it is definitely worthwhile doing it online before you go, guys. Definitely, without a doubt. So Joe, you've just ignited that, and I want to do it. I want to do it. So let's talk about what we've got. So we've got the beautiful AmaDahlia, which looks absolutely amazing. And this tour, it's 11 days, isn't it? And you've got the cruise and you've got the land before, haven't you, as well? So you get to see Cairo when you get there and things.
Yeah, so 3 nights flights out to Cairo from the UK, whichever departure airport you would like. 3 nights in Cairo, flight down to Luxor, that's included. 7-night out and back Nile cruise, and then the flight back to Cairo for 1 more night before flying home. And that is the package. So yeah, it's an 11-night cruise and land. I didn't expand too much in the presentation before, but you will see there are the options to extend either side as well, with Dubai, Israel, Jordan. So it's just completely up to you how much. You might as well do it all whilst you're over there, eh?
You might as well. And I mean, it's for the whole tour, it's 4,899 per person, isn't it? And that's an amazing 5-star beautiful ship. Your food's included. You've got drinks with your meals, and you've got your tours. You don't really, apart from buying some souvenirs, don't ever pick anything up either and try and bring it home if you see it on the ground, because they do check your suitcases.
Oh,
yeah, they're always looking to see if artifacts are being taken out the country, and you will get arrested. But yeah, it's 4,899 is an amazing price for that. I mean,
yeah, it is. I mean, this is, ultimately it's a luxury. This is a completely and utterly luxury experience. I mean, you saw the pictures of the ship. We're using the Four Seasons Hotel in Cairo. A couple of the pre and post extensions, actually. I mean, for example, in Jerusalem, we're at the Waldorf Astoria. Granted, it's extra for these bits, but the accommodation that you're getting is just incredible. And the value, like you say, we can still have, a higher priced holiday is still representing incredible value. And it absolutely is. So it's, I think it's really competitively priced, and I'm saving up.
I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, the trips that we were doing, it's not cheap to do, because you're going to sites that need to be maintained. And one thing about Egypt is they're forever finding tombs, so as they dig further and further, they find more and more tombs, and then eventually they'll try and open them up if they can, if they're safe to do so. It's about giving back as well, because the guys that are out there, digging and, finding everything, they're forever doing it. We were there, and they would do. You could see them, looking and trying to find little things, and it was amazing. It's a once in a lifetime bucket list trip, isn't it?
That's it. It's one of those. It's not a holiday that you're going to go back to repeatedly every year and do it again. Well, you might actually. It's a bucket list. It's a special trip. It's really, really amazingly put together, the itinerary, and of course the ship as well. I mean, she just looks absolutely stunning. I want to be up on that sun deck having a cocktail after a day at the pyramids. Actually, I just remembered, I think I mentioned it when we were talking about the pyramids excursion earlier. We do make a lovely day of it. We have the lunch at the Meena House Hotel afterwards. And I don't know if you saw that whilst you were there, Martin, but it's a huge, big, grand sort of palatial style hotel right in the base of the pyramids. Not in the base of the pyramids, but in the base of the pyramid site. And it is like a 6-star luxury hotel. You can't usually just go in there and grab something to eat. It's not open to everyone and anyone that goes to the site. We've got an exclusive AmaWaterways lunch there. So it's not a case of just going to the pyramid site, having a 2-hour tour and coming back. We make a day of it. We have a 4-course lunch. We have included wine and beers, and you can sit outside in the shade with the pyramids as your backdrop to lunch.
Take me away now, Joanne.
I know.
My case is packed. I know I say it most shows, but it has been packed since the 23rd of March. It really has. And
I think everyone's is packed.
It's got dust on it now, so I'm going to have to start dusting it off, So, but Joanne, thank you for bringing Egypt and the Nile to life for us this evening with this new product that you guys have launched. Guys, if you want to book on this, as the ships are a lot smaller, so they will sell out. So it's best to get in there, get it booked, for 2022. 2021, we know we've got, well, fingers crossed we'll be going. But 2022 and 2023, I'm sure we'll be out very soon. So get in there, get it booked. And one thing you can do with us guys is, remember, you can pay monthly, so spread the costs. We can work it all out for you, and you can have that amazing luxury 5-star Nile cruise and land tour, and anything else you need added on. So, guys, thank you for joining us this evening. Joanne, thank you for joining us again.
Thank you so much. I'm just thinking, if I'm invited back a third time, what can we do? We've done Europe.
I'm sure we can work something between us.
We'll think something, won't we?
Well, we could maybe feature one of the European ones, because we did a little touch on it, didn't we? But we haven't really gone more into depth about it.
Well, I'll wait to get booked in. I'll have to wait to see if I hear from you.
I will have you back to any time, Joanne. If you want to book on this, please do give us a call. Our telephone number, as you know, is 0161, and it is going across the bottom there, 0161 735 0112. You can message me on Facebook or drop me an email, and we will look after you on this. And don't forget, as Joanne pointed out in her presentation, there is £150 per couple off, and there are some savings as well. So this is a great deal with everything included, guys. I'm thinking of booking it, so why don't we all go? Guys, thank you for joining in. As always, we know there's nothing else on the telly, and let's be honest, we're all tellied out after the last year. So bringing something inspirational like this is amazing. Join us again very, very soon, when we will bring another fabulous supplier to you with some amazing offers. Joanne, we will catch up with you very, very soon. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you, everyone.